It's a cold midwinter morning here. And I've just given the sheep some breakfast, some lucerne and some grain. You can see them pearly here, nibbling the grain off the top of the lucerne. All of them are doing the same. It's definitely what they prefer. So this is Pearly here. She's almost a yearling now. She was born on the 23rd of July. And I think it's the 4th of July today. She's still quite small, but actually when she stands beside her sister, her full sister, the other ewes bigger, but she stands behind her full sister. She's almost as tall, she's just a bit finer. So I'm glad that we don't have a ram at the moment, because I think she's too small to have any lambs yet. Certainly I don't want old mum having any more. Move your bum, move your bum. That's mum there. We've probably all lost, I think, a little bit of condition, which I expect is sort of pretty normal for winter. That's Pearl's full sister, just there. Pearly. So one consequence of it being so wet is just all the fungal growth, the mushrooms that are growing now almost everywhere they can. And there are lots of different kinds. And I'm aware that obviously these are just the fruit of the mycelium network that's mostly under the ground, which sort of has a symbiotic relationship with the roots of the trees and the mycorrhizal fungi, etc., and creates the sort of it's a paper white jonquil, certainly not one planted this year by me, and typically the first to come up. So Mark's just told me he reckons that there's a koala in one of our eucalypt trees, and that is something that we would desperately have hoped to have happened, but I wasn't sure whether these are the right kind of eucalypts or not. He's pointing there. It's just moved. Oh my god. There really is. It's going to be hard to see here. Where is it? There it is, right there. Well, that is incredible. Wow. I can't believe it. I hope we're not stressing it out. We'll leave it in a second. I'm going to leave it because I don't want to upset it. Lots of bulbs making their appearance now. So a good many of these would be now naturalized bulbs, in the sense that they weren't planted this year, they were planted in previous years, and they're this little grevillea, which has just been in for a little while, started to flower, and it's sitting here next to a red one, and they're both just by the pond here. And the mound, well, the mound's going okay. Really, the idea was not so much to grow stuff in here for the sake of having flowers, but to stabilize the mound a bit, because it's going to stay here, and we just want roots to basically go down and give it some structure. But certainly it will be nice to see bulbs here. You can see lots of bulbs just coming up here now. As to precisely what they are, I don't know, because many of the bulbs that we got this year were mixed jonquils. Not quite sure. As I've said many times before, the idea is that they naturalize. So I had almost given up hope on the garlic that I planted in these new beds in Leo's garden this year, and I need not have worried, because in the space of about 2 weeks the garlic has come up. I wouldn't say it's 100%, but it's pretty good. So it's a bit later. I'm sure it's later than usual in terms of the time it's taken to sprout, but it seems to be growing on well. This is the forsythia, which is budding nicely, so it should have bright sort of yellow flowers. The lavender's just holding on. Not doing great, but just holding on. And the lamb's ear has been desperately eaten back, but I think the crown is still there, so it'll be okay, I think. Not so for the salvia. There are a bunch of bulbs in here. I couldn't tell you what they were, but they're starting to come up. Same for this little corner garden here. And this is doing okay. So this is a little miniature rose here. This is the thing we had to come out and set up just before we went into the last lockdown, so it was a bit of a rush, but it's okay. It's mostly alive. And then in this bed here also has garlic in it. It's mostly full with garlic, and it was planted about, I'd say, a fortnight after that one, so fingers crossed that should be okay as well. So my particular job today is to plant some bare-rooted roses. I've got 4 here. They came from Bunnings, and they were quite the bargain at $5 each. The aim is to have roses growing up and over, if we can, this archway. There are 2 roses here, one either side, both de Ronsard. The one on the left here does very well. The one on the right, my right here, does very badly. And there is actually a little rambling rector rose, which is supposed to be, I think I've said many times before, it's reputed to be a vigorous, fast-growing climber. It was actually purchased at the same time as that rose, and it's just failed to thrive. So I don't know why that is, nor do I know why roses will grow on this side and not on this side. So in terms of the roses that we've got a hybrid tea, which is sort of a mauve colour. A mauvey colour. We've got a Floribunda Gold Bunny, which I've wanted to get for a while. I think the Gold Bunny is a known climber, but I'm not sure. That being the case, I actually got another yellow, which is specifically indicated to be a climbing rose, which is this royal gold here. And this one was actually it was called a peace rose, and it wasn't a climber, but it just had a beautiful colour. There are roses along the various posts here, and actually we put this up last weekend, so it's an extra railing because the sheep do tend to poke their heads through and eat the rose foliage. So I will, before too long, put some more wire or some other structure there to stop the sheep pushing their heads through, and hopefully we can get some roses growing. So it's obviously a nice red rose, there's a yellow there, and a beautiful pink rose just there. So perhaps I can do another one there. So I put in the 3 roses in the orchard, and the final one is this peace rose, which is kind of a beautiful yellow rose with sort of pinky tinge to it, which I really like. I put it here in Leo's garden, right next to his resting place. And because it's a climbing rose, I've found a use for this now very much deceased Japanese maple, which hopefully will give it some structure for the first year perhaps. A bit of a romantic soul when it comes to things like this. This Japanese maple was in our courtyard for many years, and then I brought it out here and put it completely in the wrong spot. And the climatic conditions are not right for a Japanese maple here anyway. It came out and endured a summer which was exceedingly hot, sort of 45 degrees, and it just could not take it, so it sadly passed away. But the fact that it's still here, and Leo would have sat under that maple when it was in the courtyard, and even though it's now not alive itself, it can be the structure for this beautiful rose, which will hopefully grow here. And you can see Leo's bed here is now just starting to push up a bunch of bulbs. We didn't see this. We didn't see the flowers last year because we were in lockdown, so. But I really like this space. He also sat under this Acer rubrum tree, which is When we put it in, it got a bit nibbled by sheep, but it's doing okay now. And this is the little man right here. It's lovely to have him here. It helped a lot, knowing that we could come and sit by him. We still talk to him as if he's actually in this garden. So while I've been down there putting those roses in, Mark's been up here attaching some mesh to the wires of the fence that will ultimately remain here. So that internal fence there is the chicken wire with the T-posts. It's been up for a year or so, a bit longer, but this wire, this post rather, has two strainer wires, one at the top, one at the bottom, and then there's this this mesh attached to it. And then over time what we will do is build a rock wall around it so that you won't see the mesh ultimately, but of course that will take us years and years and years to do it. But it looks good, and there's no chance that sheep will break into this, which is great.